do this a favor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Brings me back to my school days. Every day we did that, which was a long, long time ago. So, we are now back in open session from closed session. Yeah. Nope, we did. I got it. They're right there. Let me turn this on and make sure everything is going, and then we will. No. Thanks. We will now entertain a motion for student discipline.
Mr. President, I move that we uphold the findings of the board in student discipline case number 23-20-1239.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please. Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. That brings us to the consent agenda, or the agenda approval, because it'll have everything in it. Well, it's consent agenda. Why do we have this like this? But that's okay. Let's do the consent agenda. Is there anything
Dr.
we'd
Asha,
like to take off?
Make a motion that we remove the last page of the HR report.
There you go. I have a motion and a second.
And vote on it separately.
Yes. Vote on it separately?
Yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do is take the last page of the HR report. Would you like to address that as the first item of business after public comment?
Yes.
Everybody? Is that okay?
That's fine. Yes.
All right, then that's what we shall do if we get that far. Okay, without any further corrections, may I say, then we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with just taking out the last page of HR, and we have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, that's, okay. Oh. All right, that brings us to agenda approval. We are going to amend the agenda, and again, correct me, everybody, what?
We just did that. We just did.
No, we did the consent agenda, that took everything?
We're good.
Well, then we're going to go back into closed session when we're done.
Oh, yeah, because we have to go back to closed session. So we
Okay,
do have to add that.
because we're gonna go back, we'll just tell you that we're gonna go back into closed session because we can call this closed session at any time. There will be no further action taken, but we plan on doing that at the end of the meeting. That's the agenda approval. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to public comments. That's too bad. That's okay though, you know, it's a process.
I had a question about Mrs. Hall, but I can ask you later. So, nervous.
Okay. I was just trying to make sure y'all can see all their faces, okay? All right. Go ahead, Drew.
Hi, my name is Drew O'Connell. I'm the athletic director at Northridge, and then this year I was also the 8th grade girls basketball coach. So I'd like to introduce the team to you guys before I kind of share their story quickly, hopefully in 5, 6, 7 minutes. We have Aubrielle Woods, We have Tiara Harris. We have Yana Williams. We have Maya Cross. Janai Parker. Took me 3 months to learn that. Charlotte Hillsman. You know, Shanti Conway, Jada Bell, Zataya Smith, Coach Beard, Coach Keys, and Coach Dye. Coach Dye was my 8th grade coach, and then Coach Beard and Coach Keys were the 7th grade coaches. Thank you, Board of Education, for the time. Upper administration, I appreciate it. Mr. Prophet, Mr. Brooks for being here and supporting us. Obviously, everyone knows about our postseason, but to get there and put ourselves in position, we had to have, a regular season. And we had a very good, successful regular season. We went 18-2, 9-1 in conference, and we went undefeated at home. So we took a lot of pride. We like to call it our house, and we definitely made sure it was our house this year. So we earned the number 1 seed in the 4A class regional in Muhammad. So, of course, Muhammad loves to host regionals, so they tried to get an advantage on that. So we took our talents to Muhammad. We had to beat Urbana. We had a bye, so we had to beat Urbana for the 3rd time. And then we ended up playing Edison. Edison was the team that beat us over fall break. It was not our best game, but I'm glad it happened because we played pretty soft. And we went bowling 2 nights later as a family, so that kind of changed some things. So we had to play Edison. So we hadn't lost in 2 months. So we played Edison. It was tied 14-14 at halftime. I'm like, shoot. We have a lot of pressure on us being the 1 seed. You really do. Come out, 3rd quarter is the theme of the whole postseason. We came out 3rd quarter and just attacked them. They didn't know what happened. And by the 4th quarter, the game was pretty much over. One thing we worked on all regular season was when you had a lead in the 4th quarter, this goes back to when I played ball too, we would stall. There was no shot clock, okay? So these girls, they didn't think they needed a coach or any coaches about after 3 practices, okay? So they came a long way. So it's 4th quarter, we ran a set where we just kind of go 5 out, and we would kill the whole 4th quarter, and the team would hardly ever get the ball back. So we won the regional championship. First regional since 2015. So we did that, and then and I told the girls the whole postseason, like being a head coach, like the worst part of the season is having to give that end of the year speech. Like I hate it, I dread it. I told the girls, I go, I'm not ready to give one, I don't have one, so I'm not gonna give one. So that was kind of the mindset, like we're not done yet. Go back to Muhammad for the sectionals. We ended up drawing Taylorville, who had won the Class 4A state championship the year before. So we're going against the best. Watch film. Said not a lot of junior high teams can sit down and watch film. They were very mature. Ms. Brooks saw that, and we would come up with a game plan like we really would. So we go Taylorville. We're not scared of them. Again, halftime score, 14-14. Jada Bell she loves to get 3 fouls midway through the 2nd quarter, so we're battling that. Her sister's trying to come in there, Sierra. So we have a lot of people trying to help us out. But anyways, come out again, 3rd quarter, and we just put it on them. 4th quarter, we're sitting down, timeout. Coach, can we stall? So we went from them not thinking they ever had to do that to asking me if they could stall. I said, probably not yet. So we're up like 10, and it's just they're slowly coming back. I'm like, it was the longest 2 minutes of my life. And then, like I said, that buzzer sounding, it was awesome. Girls are running at us. I mean, I'm not a hugger, and I hugged everybody. I almost hugged Taylorville's coach with a handshake line. So that's how excited I was for sure. So first time to state since 1990. First time ever for 8th grade girls program. So when you go to state, they have a program. All the powerhouses are there. They all had 4 or 5 state appearances. That was our first for 8th grade. So we get to state. I think Miss Brooks is on the beach in Florida when she called me about me trying to get hotels Friday night. And then for a second, I thought I was going to have to pay for it. So I was going to call my parents on that one. But anyways, she's like, are you sure you want to do that? I'm like, yeah, we're mature enough. So we get, 8 hotel rooms. I had a pretty nice suite, too. The girls would tell you that. So anyways, we go up there. Everyone thought we were crazy for doing that, but I knew they would be mature, and it was a business-like approach. We had dinner, woke up the next morning, had a good breakfast, and then headed over to the stadium. We're the second game that morning. So if you know anything about junior high state, if you lose your first one, you're done. If you win your first one, you're at least guaranteed 4th place. So you're bringing home one of the big ones. So again, halftime, it wasn't 14-14, but we weren't up by much. And then I look across the gym, and Ashante's sister and Sarah's sister just staring at me. And I knew what they wanted. I go, hurry up. So they came in and said some words to the girls. So that's something, I want to talk about is like, we always respected the past, but we wanted to, bridge our own future. And to do that, you got to respect the past. And, we got some girls who had sisters who, big part of Danville basketball. One thing we had them do before the regional championship game was write on note cards and dedicate the game to someone. So they would realize it's bigger than themselves. So anyways, getting that game close to halftime. Again, third quarter again. We came out, just took it to them. Fourth quarter starts, early timeout. Coach, can we stall? I go, no, but you will anyway, so let's go ahead and do it. So we won that game. So I'm like, shoot, like we're in the Final Four. Like you really don't know it, and like it just hits you so fast. And so I'm talking to coaches. We always let the girls walk in first and talking to the coaches. I'm like, all right, they're going to be excited. We got to, keep them engaged. We play again in 3 hours. So we walk in there, and they're all just sitting down, not saying a word, just waiting for us to address them. I'm like, wow, that's just how mature they really were. So anyways, quick scout, play our next game against a suburb of Chicago. First half, again, it was close. But again, third quarter, we came out and just took it to them, and we won that game. So all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, my God, we're in the state championship game. So again, let the girls go in first. Talk to coaches. I'm like, holy, can you believe it? Maybe said some other things, but I walk in there again, and the girls are just sitting there waiting for us to address them. Like, that's how mature they were. So I knew we would have a chance going in the state championship game. Get a state championship game, played against a really good Quincy team. I mean, I can truly say they were definitely the best team in the state. But when we started the postseason, there was 108 teams, and we finished second. So... we had an awesome pep assembly put on by our administration. One thing I want to address is like our community was awesome. The crowds, if you went on that Saturday, we were the furthest away, but we had the most people.
We packed the house.
We did. Some things I want to talk about the community. Stan Hoskins took us out for dinner. Mark Denman made posters and signs. So I know Lori Grant headed that up. We got gifts from Miss Shanks and Mr. Anderson from Southview. Mr. Anderson showed up at state with his face painted like Braveheart. So kudos to him. I was pretty fired up for that. Dak had the girls out and recognized them at halftime. Mr. Basie's had them out at halftime for DHS. Illinois recognized them at a women's basketball game, and then we had police escorts. So tonight's kind of like the final parade. So accomplishments. First regional title since 2015. First sectional title in 8th grade history. State runner-up, first time. 7th grade did it in 1990, but 8th grade had never. So this is a team, very special. You got to be different if you're going to do different things. And all year, these girls were different. All year, we never ran up the score. Everyone played. I would have parents come and tell us how classy we were.
I even got a email from one of the principals where we played and just thanked us for being such a great team and showing such great teamwork. So
there's 4 people I want to point out. Miss Brooks and Dr. Jacoby. I took over 3 years ago to be athletic director. You can ask Miss Brooks. I came in with a million ideas. I wanted them to happen like right off the bat. They pretty much have though. So she's so used to signing things for me. I took her something about our track meet and she signed it. I go, I don't need a signature. I just want you to see it. So that's how when she sees me, she's trying to sign things. Miss Smith, she's Miss Brooks' secretary, but she literally became mine too. All the buses, the food, the hotel, like she's amazing. And then our bus driver, Nicole. So we're very superstitious. We won that first game, Muhammad. And I go, do you have us the next game? No. I go, well, you're going to trade that bad boy. So she stuck with us, drove us to the hotel, things like that. Very superstitious. I mean, we even had an elf on the shelf sitting on the bench. Char's got an elf on the shelf. So I know Quincy played behind us. We had our note cards and the elf on the shelf sitting on the last chairs. I know they thought we were crazy. But so anyways, it was a great season. They mean a lot to me. The coaches mean a lot to me. And we would like to present Dr. Jacoby with a signed picture frame from the team for – go ahead and go give it to him, Ryan. Sarah, she's really made a lot of things possible for us.
And I don't know why they didn't wear their medals tonight, so I wore mine. Just to
He
make
never
sure.
told us to.
All right, thank you, Maya.
Hey, half of them forgot it. So
And
I went,
I do want to point out that we had one sixth grader on this team.
yeah.
So he came up from Southview and helped us out. So we are, pulling them up if we need to, and just making sure. And what a wonderful team. I never had to go down and address any behavioral issues. They kept their grades up, so I was just really proud of this team. They did an amazing job this season.
Mr. O'Connell and Ms. Brooks, I just want to tell you, I live in the area near Northridge, and there's a neighborhood association. And our neighborhood association has a Facebook group, and we were so excited. And we were this group of people that you don't know that they're watching you. They were following you girls. They were like, flash your lights on and off, go outside and yell when they come into town. And so you excited the community as well. And so many people are so proud of what you've done beyond even the educational community. I just wanted you to know how far your ripple effect went out. Way to go.
Thank you.
I would just like to say, Ms. Brooks, I just want to say that we hear all the negatives. We hear all the negatives about the students there. But I was up there several Fridays, and to see these young ladies come in and their faces, and even to come in tonight to recognize some of them, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. And I just want to say, take this on to Danville High School with you, please. Because we need you to be the leaders coming in as freshmen. And we need you on that girl basketball team. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being you. And
representing Danville well.
Yeah, and representing Danville. You didn't just represent Northridge. Because I did have one of the coaches from one of the other schools that said, "Oh, you on the board in that city that beat us," and I said, "Oh, really?" At that time, I had to call Ms. Brooks and say, "What am I talking about? who am I finna make feel bad?" So people do remember, and they know people from your district. And for someone to call me and say, "Oh, and those girls were just so nice." And so that is truly an inspiration for us, for someone else outside of us to say that you were very polite. When you beat some folks, you smiled. You smiled at them, is what the lady said. She said, they beat us and they smiled. So that was nice. So thank you.
One last thing before I have a seat. We put a little small piece of paper. We are having a play, Freedom Song, on Friday. That is to celebrate our school moving from targeted to commendable. So we skipped 2. We went from targeted, comprehensive to commendable. So we will be celebrating on Friday. Come out if you have a little bit of time and see the play. Thank you.
Nice job, ladies.
Well, that is pretty impressive. The last stop on your celebration tour, you got a standing O. So, and quite deserved. Very good, young lady.
Very proud of you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, just take off the rest of the week.
Thanks,
No one
coaches,
heard-
too.
No one heard that.
All right, that was nice. We can all go home now.
That it?
I have a couple of parents that I thought wanted to address the board. Is that, no? No, okay.
Okay, that brings us to item number 5BCD, HR. Do you have a motion to consider the last page of the HR report? Someone want to move to approve it?
I make a motion.
To approve?
Oh,
We got it to consider.
to consider it, we have to have a
Yeah, we have
motion?
to have it
Okay,
moved.
I make a motion to,
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Seeing none? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Terry?
No.
Mr. Strader?
No.
Elder Park?
No.
Pastor Miller?
No.
Mrs. Holland?
No.
Mr. Easton?
no.
And Dr. Ashcraft?
No. Motion passes 7-0. Okay, that brings us to item number 6A. Special education. Behavior supports.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Geddes. I'm Molly Bailey, the Director of Special Education. And I have several things for you tonight.
See that? You're gonna be busy.
I am.
As we
We
will.
are already busy. That's why we need some supports. So the first thing is a recommendation that we add a job description for a board certified behavior analyst. Also known as a BCBA. A lot of times, we like to throw out letters first in special ed and confuse everybody. This is a graduate level certification in behavior analysis. We really need some supports in our buildings. Our students have some behaviors and our staff need assistance. And right now, we have some behavior interventionists that I would kind of describe as we're sending out sort of like whack-a-mole. When an issue arises, we send somebody out. I really need to create a system so that we can make sure that all our staff are feeling that support and our students are getting what they need and that we're able to address and provide interventions to student supports. So the BCBA would be able to conduct behavioral interventions, functional behavior analysis, write the behavior plans, and then they can also conduct some training and things like that. I really think it's important that we add this position so that we can support staff and students.
Okay, I see that you would love us to approve this.
So move.
Yeah, there you go.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second for the recommendation of a board certified behavioral
Analyst.
analyst, yeah. It says interventionist here, but,
Oh, yes.
and any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't really get this, position. Molly, what concerns me is what are we doing to go out and recruit psychologists, social workers? What are we doing? We're adding positions, but if we can't fill the positions we have, why are we putting more positions
We
out there?
already have 2 of these on our staff, but we're not paying them as such. They have additional certification that we're not honoring. We already
So what
have
are they doing now?
behavior interventionist.
And that,
This is part of a bigger plan so that I can provide a system of supports. I mean, I can go ahead and talk about the next one that's on the list, which would talk about that system I'm wanting to create. We have interns every year for psychs and social workers. They often don't choose to stay. We are going to job fairs. I'm doing everything I can to try to recruit psychs and social workers. There just aren't any. Ms. Nixon talked to one this week that may want to come as a virtual option. We're going to have to really look at providing things differently in special education in order to get it, and most of that will be virtual. That's not what's best for our students and staff, I don't think, but we're going to have to look at it in order to get some sort of supports.
And to piggyback on what Molly's saying is when you said what we're doing this evening when we go to negotiate about our Grow Your Own, we have students who want to go into psych, social worker, et cetera, as a part of the Grow Your Own, but their program is longer than 4 years. So that's why I have to come back to the board this evening to say, what accommodations would you like me to make? Because I have a few that want to join the Grow Your Own, but right now we have it for 4 years. Their program is 6, and then how do we adjust? So once we can decide that later on this evening, there are a few in the pipeline. So we're
well,
gonna
I
have to
think it's
grow our own.
important, Dr. Geddes, that we know, what's being done because You know, we all know that we've got these openings and we're not filling them. And when you say we've got these openings, but we're creating more over here, people need to understand why you're doing this.
Right.
We can't just read it and the board approve it,
Yeah.
and the public doesn't know what that means.
We have to try to balance filling positions and keeping people in those positions and providing them with enough support so that people will stay here. And I absolutely understand you. You know, I feel that too coming to you as a person who knows how many vacancies I have in my department. But I will have more if I don't provide the supports to people who are here.
And that's what they needed to hear. That's what I wanted you to say.
You
Thank
also
you.
need to tell them that you'll lose the people now they have these certifications.
Correct.
Other districts are recruiting them because now they have the certifications.
They have
and we need to create
certifications.
positions so that
Right.
they stay.
And I think that's important because people look at us and say, oh, y'all approving more positions. They need to know why.
Right.
Makes
Right.
That's what I'm getting
Thank
you. I was just
My-
trying to help you.
Right. I forgot to say some things. Thank you.
I just, I know that sometimes language is general, but I wondered if you could tell me more about why the endorsement is preferred in qualifications and not required.
That's an LBS 1 endorsement. That's a special education teacher endorsement. So that one's not a necessary for this position. It would be great if you had been in a classroom so that you get that perspective, but this is a very specific certification, so it's not necessary for this position.
Okay, and you think this will be a teacher that will now not be a teacher but will be a behavioral analyst?
No, I think it will be our 2 behavior interventionists that we currently employ that have gone on and gotten the certificate or a BCBA certificate.
So we won't lose any current in the classroom teachers
No,
by posting this job?
And we'll keep the ones we have.
and we'll keep
And
the
we'll
ones
well,
we have.
I hear you say that. I just,
Yes. Actually, that top part, that might be in Eric Kim walked out. That might not need to be in there even, the LBS 1 certification necessarily.
Okay. So I hope that we're ready to vote on this. The BCBA job description. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Dr. Parks?
Yes.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Mrs. Holland?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Terry?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
6A2,
Okay, so
more.
since you passed that we can have a BCBA in our district, that means we can have people that are certified to then train RBTs, which are registered behavior technicians. I really am excited about this piece because what this will do is take our own people that we already have and we're going to train them to be registered behavior technicians. So it would be TAs that are already working for us, and we're going to improve their skills. They would do 40 hours of training with the BCBAs, and what they would do is they would train them how to carry out the plans, how to carry out the behavior intervention plans, how to intervene for students who are struggling with behaviors. So this adds that another layer of support in our classrooms where we're going to we're going to build our skills. We're going to give people more tools to provide more supports already in our classrooms, in our buildings. So I
Okay.
recommend you approve Registered Behavior Technician or RBT.
I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments about RBT?
And again, you're not adding staff, you're taking staff we already have.
Already have and giving them more skills, more tools.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Dr. Parks?
Yes.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Mrs. Holland?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Terry?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Coda.
CODA, another acronym, Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants. For a very long time, since long before me, we have contracted for Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants, or CODAs. One of those people recently resigned the contract agency, so we're down to one. We have one occupational therapist and one CODA at this time. That's not enough for all the students that qualify for occupational therapy in the district. So I would like to try to post to get our own person here in Danville rather than a contract agency. There's some word that we have some people out there that may be interested, so I want to get it posted quickly so we can grab her right out of school. So I recommend your approval for the CODA job description.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions, comments?
How many students do you think would benefit from an occupational therapist?
We already have about 100 students who qualify for occupational therapy in the district.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Hope we can fill that position.
Me too.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Elder Parks,
Yes.
Mrs. Holland,
Yes.
Mrs. Stevens.
Yes.
Mr. Easton,
Yes.
Mr. Schrader,
Yes.
Dr. Moore,
Yes.
Dr. Evans.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. 6A4, special ed coordinator.
Okay. Now this position is a little tricky. But it's all in the same master plan of providing support in buildings. Our staff need help. Our students need help in the buildings. And because there is a shortage of psychologists and social workers that used to do a lot of those little things, like call the previous district of all the move-ins and get all the paperwork and find out about the kid and what the plans were and those kind of things. We don't have that. They don't have that time in their day anymore. The psychs have been pulled and go out to the buildings just to cover what they absolutely need to, and they're not housed in the buildings at this time because they can't. They're all over the district constantly. They're probably spending more time in their cars. So we really need to balance that support and teachers in the classroom. I can't pull any more teachers out of the classroom, honestly, because I won't legally meet mandates if I do so. I'm posting this in hopes to draw more people and to provide so that people see we are trying to make sure that we provide the things in the buildings. So a special education coordinator would be able to be that liaison. The principals have taken a lot of the things of making sure they're at every single IEP meeting, trying to learn every single IEP kid. IEP kids have more needs. We have a lot of kids who've moved in with a lot of needs. We've got kids with own personal nurses in our buildings that they bring with them. We've got kids that have come with high behavior, very descriptive behavior plans, and we just need someone in some of those buildings to help coordinate all of that and be there in the meetings, helping with the share the information with the deans, all of that. So this one is adding a position with the idea that I have no intention of not having teachers in front of kids.
And hopefully we would draw some of the people who've left that.
Yes. We've had some people leave the district recently that they're great people. We'd love to have them come back. So hopefully we can draw someone with this posting.
Okay, this is for special ed coordinator.
So move. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? This is like 4 positions?
Ideally,
4 people? Or?
in my perfect world,
2, 1?
do I think that we're going to be able to do that right now? No. I'd hope to get one. I'd
One
be happy
coordinator.
with one.
Yeah, okay. I guess
Yes.
One
so.
coordinator.
So I'm looking at the needs for
We don't cover 4 buildings.
yeah.
It-
Oh, okay.
Yes, if we can get back to good staffing levels, really one would be needed in 4 buildings, because those are the high, populations of special education students.
But
So-
we're hoping to start with
But we're
one
hoping to
for
start with
4
one for 4 buildings.
Can
Thank you. So it's
Oh.
it is singular for a
Yes,
reason, not
yes.
coordinators. It's a
Right.
coordinator.
Right.
Thank you for that clarification.
In your estimation, why did the staff leave? And what about a coordinator would bring them back?
Honestly, Mrs. Pappas and I talked to almost everyone that leaves. Well, I talked to almost everyone, and she talks to everybody that leaves. They're not leaving because of special education. It's all mostly other reasons. But I think that, why would it bring them back? Because if you compare our caseloads to other districts comparable to us. Ours are way bigger. If you compare the job duties that they're doing, they have coordinators, they have special education administrators in their buildings. They have, I mean, there's just a lot of other positions that support special education in other districts of our size. We don't have any of those. So we need to give the teachers some supports while they're, so that they can be with the kids and not have to spend their evenings writing IEPs. I mean, they're going to spend their evenings writing IEPs and doing all that, don't get me wrong. But they're also trying to call other schools and get that past IEP or figure out why they made this eligible for this or why this kid doesn't have this service and we're seeing that they need it. They're coordinating with parents because the nurse is coming or didn't come today. There's a lot of other things that our teachers just don't have the time to do or our related service providers because their caseloads are maxed out.
Okay. Anything else? Roll call vote, please.
Here.
Oh,
Here.
yes.
Mrs. Schrader.
Yes.
Elder Parks.
Yes.
Pastor Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Howland.
Yes.
Mr. Easton.
Yes.
Dr. X.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You got everything you asked for.
It's a good day.
Good thing you were first.
That's right.
What are you saying? Oh, look who's next.
I have backup, which
This
if they,
brings- Curriculum. Oh, you do. You have numbers.
yeah.
I am very easily intimidated, so.
So tonight, good evening, Board, Dr. Geddes. Tonight, the first thing that I have for you, for a few years, we've had Smeckens Consulting come into the district to do some work on writing and comprehension reading with our buildings, and we would like to continue to renew that contract. And a few of these folks up here, they're up here for various reasons, but a few of these folks are up here to speak to that if you have questions. And I also have 2 letters from people that were not able to come that I can read those letters for you if you would like me to. Also in support of continuing with Smeckens. So we do a couple different things with Smeckens. One, Courtney Gordon comes and most of the buildings use her a couple times a semester. And she comes in and spends time modeling in classrooms, working with the teachers in small groups, and helping the teachers develop lesson plans for whatever the building goals are. The other thing that we have is in between those sessions, in a perfect world, we have a virtual coach that helps kind of solidify what goes on in between Courtney's sessions. And then Courtney also comes sometimes 1, 2, or 3 days. This year it's only once, where she comes and she works with the teachers one-on-one during one of our open gym days, and she helps the teachers make a plan so they can develop a plan for what they're going to do specifically for writing for the entire school year. And so teachers take her up on that day. So that's what is in front of you, and the amounts of those things are there. So we'd like for you to approve that once again. And again, I've got some folks up here that can speak to that if you'd like them to, in 2 letters that I can read if you want me to.
I'd like to hear what one of them has to say. Whoever wants to.
Would you like to have a motion though we'd like to have a motion for the consulting, because that's an action item here, and then we can have all sorts of questions and comments. That'd be
Okay.
great.
Well, I'll move to approve.
Oh, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Now, we would like to hear what?
Just why they think we should do this. It's money.
Our current reading program doesn't offer a lot, especially for the
elementary level for the writing, phonics. I mean, we've had to really build around it, and that's why I think we're going to be looking at something new eventually. But Smeckens has just done a really good job of helping us lay out a foundation for the writing, building that year-long plan where we can make sure we can get the kids to where we need to go. And Courtney does a great job of supporting that, and Bridget. It just really helps us be able to figure out how to make it work with what we have. And the reading comprehension, we did that. That was great too. Helps us kind of beef up what we're already using. So I really think she's done a great job. Anybody else?
Speaking as a second year teacher, I find when Courtney comes to our schools to model lessons that's really beneficial. As someone who's never taught things like this before, it's nice to see an example, and she does a really good job of doing it. So it's a good way to learn from her experience.
We have an administrator too, if you.
Go ahead.
Miriam.
Yeah, come on up. Anybody, like, the more merrier.
We know that our students, especially post-COVID, really struggle with writing and didn't have a lot of experiences with paper and pencil and writing at home the last couple of years. And so it's just really nice to have that intentional support of Smeckens in our buildings to kind of keep us on track with our goals for writing too.
Can you say your name real quick?
Oh,
for
sure.
the-
I'm
in the-
Nicole Zoyer, principal at Southwest.
Right, you can back yourselves up.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
Gloria Sturmersheim, second grade teacher at Southwest.
Alyssa Wright, second grade teacher, Mark Denman. Okay.
And Elisa Brooks, principal at Northridge. So Smeckens came to Northridge, worked with Bridget and with Courtney. We aligned our science and our social studies in the way that they write. So at first we were doing two totally separate different things. Now those things are kind of coming together, and kids really understand how to write in science and in social studies, and we have like an aligned plan. And so Smeckens helped us to do that. I am a Smeckens person. I really believe in what they do. They do help you to schedule those year-long plans and really think about how you're going to attack the writing so that kids also understand, how to form a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that it makes sense. And so, and adding all the adjectives and adverbs and all the stuff that we need to make it sound good. And so I'm a big supporter of Smeckens, and so I'm a cheerleader. I've seen it work, and I've seen teachers really start to understand that writing process. When you're in school and they teach you about how to teach kids how to write, some of the stuff to try to get kids to understand is not taught in a classroom when you're learning as a teacher. So just to see it in action and to see it working makes me a true believer.
And the way they do it is really fun.
It is.
For
The kids really like
the kids
it.
like it. And I think what's really nice for the teachers too is they do it with our kids, with our materials, and with things that we're familiar with. And I think that's what.
And it helps that they're doing it in elementary, and then when they come up to us, they already know the words and the language that we're using. So it does help.
And I have a letter from a high school teacher and another elementary teacher, but I can forego those if you're comfortable with what you've
No, I
heard
think
so
you
far.
brought the best.
Yeah,
You
of
brought
course.
the best.
Mhm.
Tell us.
And they can stay, because they can speak to all of this, so they can just stay right up here to the for the next two too. Does anybody else want to say anything about Smeckens or, okay, just don't leave. Okay.
Okay, so your proposal is for the consulting services. Do you have a number? Because I saw there's different numbers in here. There's a 22,572 for the semester. They have the 22,572 for next year for the other
Yes.
semester, and then there's a 2508 for the summer.
Yes, I
Contract.
have, yes. Okay, so,
Okay, now that I said those numbers, those are the
Yes.
out in the public.
yes.
Those are the right numbers,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So this would be for a total of 44, 46, 47.5, not more than that. Not 47. 5.
They're each individual contracts because when we work with Bridget, because that's digital, it goes under a different line item because it's digital. And then when Courtney comes and does the model lessons, that goes under a we put those together, but we divide it by semesters because, and then sometimes by schools because it's, Ms. Truex really likes it when we get to do things as set-asides. She loves it when I can make, yeah. So, yes, but those are the, and then the one day, we do the one day because that's separate and that comes out of the, that's a separate thing because everybody comes to the Jackson building for that one day to get that support if they need it. So, there's 3 separate contracts, well,
Right.
4 because of the semesters.
For a total of 46,652.
Yeah, I didn't add it all together in my
I
head,
did.
but yeah, okay.
So
Okay, yes.
The number needs to be said for the, when we make the motion, when the motion addressed.
But I think it's 45, the Smeckens, right? 45, 144 for her, council, is her,
Yeah, for
the
the two
solution
things.
an additional
2508.
22,750?
Okay, so I've got them all separate as contracts. I don't have it all added up. That's why, because we do
I
them,
do think when you add the 3 of them up, it's about $70,402.
yeah, that makes, that,
44, 144 for the first one. 22,750 for the one with the 70 hours of remote coaching.
yes,
And then $2,508 for that professional development with the lesson plans.
yes.
So when I put those 3 together,
Give me the number.
70,402.
Okay, I'll go with that because my number was less, but if we do it for 75, then we're good.
Yeah,
Okay, 75.
402.
Okay, our total package is 75,402. We are voting on, at this moment, the contracting services for Smeckens,
Out of title funds.
Out of title fund.
yeah, for 75,402. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think,
Avid pass.
yes, the next thing we have is Avid Path. This is something that we did, you had approved for us to do before COVID. We did it in November with your approval, and we wanted to continue to do it this summer. This is something we also budget for every year in title. And that we get a lot of, I think we had over 100 people that went to it in November, or not, maybe not 100, close to 100 people that went to it in November to rave reviews. So what this allows us to do is there are people that can't travel to Summer Institute, plus, or don't feel comfortable traveling to Summer Institute, and this allows us to bring a few of the trainings that they would be able to get there here. They do it in 2 days. It's the same trainers, or some of the same trainers. There's lots of trainers there, but we bring it here, and then we're able to connect the training to the folks that go to Summer Institute and the folks that stay here, and the administrators in the buildings are able to make those connections so that everybody that wants to or that needs to be trained in AVID can get trained either by going to Summer Institute or having the PATH training. So we have 10, I think it was 10, was it 10? Yes, 10 different trainings that we wanted to bring this summer. Ms. Grant's favorite, academic language building, which is a great training for all of our students, but especially for our ELs. So our that's, I think, her personal favorite. Yes, for AVID Elementary. Training, computer science elementary. I'm so excited about this one. They may not be able to keep me out of that one. Fostering an equitable and engaging culture. This one is only available if we bring it in. You can't get this one at Summer Institute, so I'm really excited about that one. Cultivating writing school-wide elementary. Cultivating school-wide elementary or secondary, and this is really nice because it goes hand in hand with Smeckens. We make sure the two things work really well together, and Smeckens is really good about making sure that AVID and their ideas work together. They work with me on those two things. Transforming literacy, both elementary and secondary. Mathematics discourse. This is really getting kids to talk about math and their thinking with math, which we're very excited about this one. Most of our, if not all of our secondary folks now have had the precursor to this math training, so this is the second one. And then history, social studies, secondary. So we'd like to bring those out. This is coming out of title as we've discussed, and it's $115,000. Springfield Public Schools was so excited that we're doing this, that they're sending folks to us. And for every person that they're sending, they're paying us for their spot. So we'll recoup some money for that as well.
What say you, board? Anyone want to make a motion for approval?
Second.
Do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
How many teachers do you think on our district are part of AVID, if you had to guess?
Everybody, we're in Avid District.
Yeah,
but, yeah, but like how many are like sold,
Trained.
they bought in, they're trained, yeah, like.
It depends on the building. We have to turn in a report every year to AVID with how many teachers have been trained in the buildings, and it continues to go up. They would be better to tell you because everybody knows how I feel about it.
Would you say it's a majority then? Yeah.
We're AVID looks at us as a kind of a flagship district for doing the right things on training, and I got to speak last year about it at the national conference, and it's one of the things that we it helps us move forward. The trainings help us move forward, and it's a very I don't know how to until you go to a training. I think I've had one person in all the years that we've done it that has said that they didn't like it. One. Especially if they go to Summer Institute.
And I'm Lori
Go
Grant,
ahead.
sorry. Our teachers are buying in. So this year at Mark Denman alone, we have, I want to say 4 or 5 staff that were excited to go this year who have never gone before. And they're ranging from 3rd, 4th year teachers up to veteran teachers who have just never kind of took the leap. And we have grown AVID so much over the years that they are excited to go this year and are really looking forward to bringing it back and doing more with it. So I think that most of the district at this point has taken a bite of the apple and are ready. If they're not already doing it, this summer is the summer that we're going to get everyone going. So
I like the bite of the apple analogy. That was very good.
Hi, I'm Angie McColl, and I'm at Northridge, and I've been part of AVID for many, many years and gone to the trainings many, many times. And through my years as a diff, the district has paid for me to go to many, many trainings in different ways. And AVID is by far the best training. And I think we model a great deal of our training that we give back to our staff that doesn't participate in AVID. So our district is constantly getting AVID whether they know it or not. So it's definitely AVID all the way in our district.
Thank you.
We're AVID.
Yeah.
Dr. Geddes, board, how are you this evening? Just to kind of talk about what they're saying, my name's Scott Vogel. I'm the assistant principal at Danville High School. So just a couple key things I think that, we were wanting this to focus on with this is that, whether it's here that we do it locally, when we bring in, people like we did this fall, or if we go to an institute, because they have them in different, places in the United States, it's a chance to meet and discuss ideas with other districts and what they're doing, and you can bounce and share ideas about that off of them, and maybe even pick up some things that maybe you hadn't thought of that you can use and utilize in the classroom and bring it back and share. It's an opportunity to expand and gain the most current knowledge that AVID's doing because it's constantly evolving, and it really has to do with the best practices. So, how AVID started is not how it looks now, and it continues to evolve. And so, obviously, education is the same situation, and it continually evolves. And so, why not use the best practices available? And this provides a resource to do that. And then, lastly, this is kind of just my personal thing, but you get to plan and share ideas. Just all of us at the high school on the administrative team are involved with AVID, but I'm the person that's kind of in charge of it per se. And so I work with Taylor Heston, who is our AVID instructor up there. And one of the nice things about it is it's, like I said, we're able to plan and share ideas with our administrative team doing this. And we've actually dedicated a large portion of our PD this year, which is professional development at the high school level, in conjunction with what our staff is doing. And they've been very receptive on it and seeing key things that we want to see and we continue to try and improve on that. But that's, I think, one of the things about it that's most definitely the most important is that it's, bouncing of ideas and, staying current with the best practices.
Okay, guys, I think we have enough AVID. Roll call vote, please. For $115,000, AVID pass. Okay, $115,000.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. 7D, social studies update.
Wait, we have
AVID
information. Information.
AVID Summer Institute, I'm sorry.
Yes.
AVID Summer Institute. We didn't have enough AVID.
Yes.
There's
So
more.
okay. So
This is the fun AVID, though.
Yeah, this is informational.
Yeah.
And I wanted to let you know too. One of the things that I think you all know is that I can introduce lots of things, but they're not going to go if the teachers. I can't make things go. And Mrs. McCool and I could probably talk to you about what it was like when we first started it together and where it is now. And it felt like we were doing a lot of pushing, and now it feels like we're running behind trying to keep up with everybody. So that tells you how well it's taken off. So this is about Summer Institute. If you remember, we went to Minneapolis last summer. That's traditionally where we go. Last summer was a different experience. Minneapolis has, as everybody knows, has fallen on some difficult times, and it's changed that experience in downtown Minneapolis. It felt different to those of us that went, and it wasn't as comfortable as it normally is. And we had asked to change venues. You all had blessed that for us to look into that. And so I'm just back up here reassuring everyone that if we go to Dallas, we've looked into Dallas, no matter where you go to Summer Institute, the registration costs are the same. It costs the same to register. The hotel prices are the same. Because of title, we get the same amount no matter where we go to whatever conference for food, those types of things. And I checked into flights, because, it costs us a lot of money to drive to Dallas, so most people would fly. It's actually cheaper to fly to Dallas today. I looked today. It would cost anywhere on an American flight today. I looked, it was $525 to $770 to fly to Minneapolis. For their Summer Institute at the end of July, it's anywhere from $356 on American to $546 to fly to Dallas, out of Indy. Both of those were out of Indy. So it's actually cheaper to fly to Dallas right now. Now, the longer we take and how all that works and if there's enough seats and all that, it could change. But so the costs are very similar. It doesn't really, nothing changes, but we do have, it makes more sense for everybody to fly to Dallas.
There's a straight flight did you know, out of Champaign?
They're actually, I looked into those. They don't fly on the days that we need them to go. Bloomington does have some. They're limited seats, but we don't have to pay for parking, so it actually makes it a little bit cheaper there. And there was one more place a little bit, I don't know if it was Peoria maybe, I think was another one. And you can also go through Chicago too, but then we're paying mileage to go up there as well. So there's lots of options going to Dallas, where Minneapolis was a little bit trickier with that too. So the flights are actually cheaper to this year. If we were to go, they're cheaper. The flights are more expensive this year, in general, than they were last year, overall, no matter where you go.
Yeah.
So, which is true.
So are eggs.
So we're just letting you know that we're hoping that we would like to go June 12th through the 14th again. The budget we've already budgeted for it out of title funds again. And you have approved the title budget with those funds in there, and they're here to tell you about how fabulous it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
That's informational, and we're glad to see you go to Dallas.
Yes, and Lori has one thing she wants to squeeze in really quick.
I'm so sorry. I thought I was going during public comments.
Okay.
And we didn't. Mark Denman and Mead Park this year
It is
are
AVID
having a
related.
combined, yes, more AVID, combined college and career day. I sent you emails, but in case you like a hard copy instead, we are inviting you to come to our college and career day on May 11th. It runs all day. And we already have DAC, EIU, U of I, Lakeview coming, and we have over 30 other presenters coming. And like I said, Mead Park's joining us this year, so it's going to be bigger than ever. If you want to be a presenter, I left a little post-it note with my contact info, and you can get a hold of me, and we'd love to have you. It was wonderful, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to invite you again to our career day.
This is, you really should, I mean, it's pretty amazing to see this, and I think.
Oh, and our DHS AVID students will be there as well, talking about AVID.
And I think Northridge has had, they come over to Mark Denman and help with that stuff too, so thank you, thank you all very much for coming, to supporting all the things. Okay,
Thanks, Avid people.
okay.
So should like I fly down to Dallas for the Avid party? I mean, is this Avid thing really?
They actually do have a one-day district leadership for board members.
Oh, I don't want to do
specifically.
stuff. I just know.
They do stuff. I don't ask them. I don't let them out of stuff. They do stuff the whole time when we're down there. Like, well, except in the
We
evenings.
go to dental
but
conventions too.
yeah. No, we work when we're down there.
That brings us to 7D, recommendation to accept social studies updates.
Yes. So this, if you, as a reminder, oh my gosh, believe it was November, we got together and had a lovely evening talking about.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yes, we had a lovely evening learning about the state and how and the curriculum process and how we all the work that the teachers do to determine what they're teaching in their classrooms. And then we specifically focused on social studies and talked about how typically standards are adopted every 8 to 10 years, and the state went ahead and changed them after 5 years this time. And so we went through that process with you during a study session, and we told you that we would come back with updated, the curriculum is the same that we've been teaching, those scope and sequence documents. And all we did was adjust the standards and the standard numbers. And so we provided, the teachers worked tirelessly in a very quick amount of time to provide those documents to you with the updated standards on them. So this is just letting you know about that. And then we provided those updated curriculum documents to you. And we're asking you to bless those with the new standards on them, the updated standards from the state. And that still say draft, but they're adopted by the state. And then there are curriculum documents, so we can, because we will be audited next year by the ROE.
So we need to do this. This is
Yes,
this
please.
thing that needs to be
You
done.
will make my life much
Keep it up
better.
to date. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the social studies updates, please?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. If no questions or
I
comments.
have some questions. I apologize for that, but I wanted to, I have some questions I have to ask. I was going through here and trying to read the scope and sequences, and most of the links did not work, Ms. Benton. So I could not view, it said access denied to K through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then also at the, no, 8 I could view. Also at the high school, U.S. history, psychology, geography, modern world issues, minority history, and American studies. So
Okay.
I know that wasn't intentional, but I really wanted to delve in because we did have some parents that were concerned about some content and just wanting to make sure. So to that end, I did have a couple of concerns on one of the high schools and the 8th grade. The standard is 9-12G14. And it asks about, it's in the world history, ancient civilization section. And that standard, or else at least maybe it's the pertinent question, each one is a little bit different. It says, explain how a person's identity, race, ethnicity, sexuality, spirituality, religion, ability, status, socioeconomic group shapes and is shaped by worldview. But then there's another standard that is 9 through 12, H8, and that's all over the social studies curriculum here, which is analyze key historical events and contributions of individuals through a variety of perspectives, including those historically underrepresented groups, which sounds to me more social studies-ish. In 8th grade, there's another section in Unit 8, which is under the Civil Rights section, that out of 2 out of the 6 essential questions deal with this identity issue. And I just wanted to, for the parents and the people in the community who had come to us with concerns, I just wanted your reassurance that the way that this is being taught isn't trying to slide anything under the radar, indoctrination versus education, because I just want your reassurance that that's not what we're doing here at District 118.
Well, if anything that you read that said 9 through 12, that's a high school standard,
Correct.
first of all. So those wouldn't be, I wouldn't think, when I looked at them, I didn't see anything that was listed in the middle school for high school, but I will go back and look, because they shouldn't be.
Maybe I misspoke. There was the high school, which was world history, and in that section, it was ancient civilizations. That was the first piece that I said, and then the little break was, then the 8th grade scope and sequence also had a section that could potentially be misconstrued. And I want to reassure the families and community members that we are not sliding through a teaching that we've told them we're not teaching here.
Yeah, no,
Let's be
they're
more specific about this teaching that you're talking about, Shannon. What are you talking about? Because we went over this in the meeting, and I don't get what I want to know. What you're saying? What teaching are you talking about?
Well, the issue here, ancient civilization. Why? I guess my question is, why are we teaching our children to explain how a person's identity, which would be race, ethnicity, sexuality, spirituality, religion, ability, status, socioeconomic groups, is shaped by our worldview? That is in the ancient civilization section of world history. And so it's in no other part of world history. I'm not seeing how it relates. Almost everything else seems like it related, except that just seemed like it was stuck in there. And it just gave me pause. So it just gave me pause. It didn't seem connected to the section that it was in.
Well, so in that one, it talks about the list the things that it talks about again. The groups of people.
Well, it's explain how a person's identity, race, ethnicity, sexuality, spirituality / religion, ability, status. I didn't know if there was supposed to be a comma there or not. Socioeconomic group shapes and is shaped by our worldview.
Well, to me, it's going to be the ethnicity and their socioeconomic status in ancient civilizations, because people moved based on what was available to them, and then that's how communities were born, and how so, for example, in Mesopotamia, communities grew up around the water because that was available to them. And so then as people got better at things and moved away from the water because they were able to do more things, then different communities came out of that. And so different, their ancestors, all of that. So that's what it is. It doesn't mean just because all of those things are listed that the teachers are going to teach those things. And so that's what that's about. That's how the state changed the wording, but it was close enough to the standard that used to be there that is how we taught it. So that's why the teachers put that standard back in there, because that's why we would have taught in ancient civilizations. That's what we would have taught there, likely. It's hard for me without the curriculum right in front of me, but that's what.
Mrs. Button, how long do you think we had that meeting? It was a long meeting that night.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I remember, the links are broken tonight, but they haven't changed since our meeting.
Yes.
Is that correct? They haven't changed?
No.
They're
The curriculum,
same.
this was already approved
Right.
curriculum.
Right.
So the curriculum, the board has already approved this curriculum years ago. And so all we did was say, we're teaching the exact same thing we've already taught for years, but we're taking the new standard that the state mandated,
Mm-hmm.
and we're attaching it to it. So we're finding the closest one to what used to be there, to make it work with the curriculum we normally teach.
How long did your committee work on putting that together? do you think?
I think I broke the news to them and right around the same time I was meeting with you, and then they pretty much got it together, I think by end of January, beginning of February. And then it took a little bit longer for 5th and 6th grade because they had some, if you remember, we approved new materials. So we were waiting on them a little bit, not because but they had a little more work to do.
Well, I want you to know I appreciate and respect the work that you've done and the teachers have done. I'm grateful for that. Just that some of those, hot words that we were hearing from the community were popping out. And so I just wanted to bring it to light and reassure the community that this is what we've done. There's nothing that's being slid under snuck under.
We are, okay. We're voting on the social studies update and roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes 7-0. 7E. Oh, there's more.
So these are courses that we talked about last time. These are new courses. So these are just course descriptions and course titles that we'd like to add to the high school. Then we will bring the actual scope and sequence documents to you to review in late July, however the board meetings fall. So you'll be able to look at those prior to the school year starting. So these are the courses that we brought to you, it's March, in February, is it? Yeah, in February. And so we're asking for your
AP
approval.
Pre-calculus and senior English.
No, there were several.
There's several.
Yeah, AP Pre-calculus,
wanna do them all?
senior English. Oh, there's a few at a time. Yes, we had a few at a time. So these are the ones to replace existing courses. So AP to replace honors pre-calculus and the senior English to replace those 3 courses that really weren't meeting the mandates like I felt like they needed to.
Because I thought these are the replacement course offerings and the other ones are going to be new course offerings.
Yes.
So let us take care of 7E1 and E2, which are the replacement course offerings. And I would love to have a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
I have a question. AP is a little higher level than honors, is that correct? Is my understanding correct?
I mean, to me, that's a matter of opinion. But I mean, typically, what AP does is that no matter where you go across the country, you can expect that an AP pre-calculus course is going to look like another AP pre-calculus course. Our honors courses, I would like to think, are very rigorous. But our honors pre-calculus course may not look like somebody else's honors pre-calculus course because we write it. This comes from College Board, so we have to do exactly what they tell us to do.
I understand that. My concern is that you have an honors kid that maybe doesn't feel like they can quite cut an AP class. Are we eliminating the opportunity for those kids to have a pre-calc class that they can handle?
I think that if our kids can handle honors pre-calculus, they can handle AP.
You
And
feel
we always give
confident
them
in
the
that?
support that they can do it. The math teachers feel very strongly that this is a really good fit for them, and we have plenty of math classes that the kids can take to fit. Really, it's about what are you doing post-secondary and what math classes are going to fit fit those goals.
Right. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments?
Would we pay for the AP tests for all our students?
Yes.
Please do.
And I've asked you this before. Do you think we'll get a report on how they did at some point?
Yeah, we always do.
Okay.
We always provide that information to you. Sometimes it just comes over the summer. But our high school teachers are really good. They like to brag about how their students do. So Ms. Cherry and the folks at DHS, it'll be up on their social media sometimes before.
Do you think on that report it'll also say the number of students who were in the class who didn't take the test?
No, that all of our students we have a day And I can tell you when it is because we had to do the first grade math challenge around those days. It's the second and third week of, first and second week of May. Yeah. That they'll take the test, the AP test. So the students take them right at DHS.
But they're not required to take them.
They are strongly encouraged
Yeah, that's
to
what
take
I'm
them.
asking. Do you think you'll have, on that report, you'll have the number of students who just didn't take the test so we could see it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But I think there's not a lot that don't. Typically, if they're in those classes, they're in there because they want to try to get that credit.
Okay, so replacement course offerings, recommendation in front of you. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes 7-0. Now for some new courses.
Okay, so we have several new courses that we'd like to try to offer to the students. We have, and some of them are courses that will help us meet some mandates. Some of them are like we started and we want to extend. But we have forensic speech, we have culinary arts 2, adult living, baking, ancient civilizations. I don't think I missed any. I think that's it.
Adult living?
Pardon? Did I miss one?
No,
I'm sorry.
you said it.
Okay, okay.
They're all there. They're all
Okay.
in front of us.
Okay.
May I have a motion to accept these?
So move.
A motion and a second. So these are new course offerings. Any questions or comments?
One question. Have the students already registered their classes that they are wanting to take for next year?
Yes, so what we do in these situations is we put something on there. They know that these are potential and we put on their pending board approval.
Okay.
So they know that these are possibilities, but we make sure that they know that they have not been board approved.
Have our students shown interest in these classes?
Mr. Bretz wasn't able to come tonight, but yes, I believe some of them, but we also have very strict parameters about whether or not they'll be able to run, on how many students have to be, I believe it's 22 have to be registered in them for them to be able to run. And we have talked about too, offering some of these, if we're not able to meet them, maybe during the school year, we did talk about, Mr. Mark Wright's not here either, maybe doing some of them over the summer, too, if we could. But we're not there yet. We're close to, you asked for something different this summer, so that was one of the things we talked about too, was maybe trying to do some of these things that we're having a hard time because we don't have enough, with teachers being able to offer them, maybe doing some of this during the summer too. We're not there yet, but we're toying with that idea.
Can I take the baking?
Pardon?
I said, can I take the baking?
Yeah, me too. It smells really good when you walk by those classes too.
Excellent. All right, what you have before you for your consideration, new course offerings at Danville High School. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Brings us to item 8.
Thank you.
Grow your own.
So Mr. Rice is going to join us. Board of Education, you asked us to go back and with the success that we had with our 2022 graduates participating in the Grow Your Own, I believe we have 13. You said to go back and find all of the 2020 through 2021 graduates and include them. And so Mr. Rice is here to get your blessing on what we found. Mr. Rice.
Good evening, board. Dr. Geddes, Chris Rice, coordinator for the Birth to 5 programs. But like Dr. Geddes just said, tonight I'm here to talk about Grow Your Own. Just a reminder that our Grow Your Own program initiated with our class of 2022 with the intentions of providing financial assistance to our DHS graduates who are interested or have shown an interest in going into an educational program, anything from teaching, school psychologists, social workers, EL certification. The district provides tuition assistance in the amount of $323 per credit hour. And in return, those students agree to return to the district and commit to 5 years of service. So what I would like your approval for this evening is to offer that same opportunity to our DHS graduates from the class of 2020, 2021.
So move.
Second.
Oh, I like that, an eager board to do that. Any questions or comments?
No, thank you. I think that that's a great opportunity for us to get people back, not only into the district, but back into our community, especially when we're trying to energize our community. And if these young people are willing to come back and commit to 5 years, that's great. And fill some of those slots Molly was talking about.
Absolutely.
Do we have a system in place to follow these kids? They're gonna.
We've created a kind of a check mark system. Starts with students notifying us of their intentions. They meet with Dr. Geddes, enroll. They provide us proof of their tuition. We send out payment, and then we follow up as far as how their courses are going, and talk them through that process and enrolling for the next semester.
So all through their 4 years.
4 years.
We are following them. They know we are following them.
We touch base with them.
And I want to thank Mr. Rice because it started with me and Amy, and it has grown so that I'm not able to do it by myself. So, yep, I took the early childhood person and said, "You have a new job."
Ms. Pascal's been a huge
Ms.
support as well, with just
Mhm.
staying in touch with the high school kids.
Ms. Pascal really is a great help when I'm having Zoom meetings. Keep me organized.
Okay, so what you have before you
Cats.
is your grow your own recommendation, going back. Class of what,
2020 and 2021.
2020 and 2021. Any other questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Mrs. Spears?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very, very, very much. Okay.
One more item. Next on the list, since we've approved to take care of our past DHS graduates, just want to offer the same opportunity to our pending graduates from the class of 2023.
So move.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Spears?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just as a thing of information, was it 8 that the number, did I see the number 8 on the 2023?
Mhm.
Right? That's very good.
We had 8 participated. I did an informational meeting with their parents. Only have 8.
Okay, that brings us to 9A. Okay. I would love to have a motion, and I need a motion to approve the resolution to dismiss an educational support personnel employee.
So moved.
Second. Chad Ramsey, for reasons other than reduction in force. Now you may, who wants to? Now you can,
So moved, I'm sorry.
thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Mrs. Spears?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you. 9B. Correct. Motion to dismiss a tenured teacher. This is a resolution to dismiss a tenured teacher from employment and to suspend said teacher without pay pending a formal dismissal hearing. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Mrs. Spears?
Yes.
Elder Park?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. with 9C, non-certified MOA.
Yes, good evening, Board. Kimberly Papps, Director of Human Resources. Tonight I have a couple of things for you. First off is the MOA. You've seen this before. We've added verbiage to it. Right now, we have teaching assistants that are able to come back and keep their teaching assistant position while they student teach, same benefits, same pay. What we realized after we did this, is we have teaching assistants who are also going into social work, guidance. We want to be able to include them in this package deal where they get their same pay as they're completing their social work internship or their guidance or their school counselor internship. So it's just changing it from student teaching to the internship to include our social workers and school counselors.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for non-cert MOA. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Overpark,
Yes.
Mrs. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Easton,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Ashton.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Brings us to 9D, payment coverage for TA applicant
Thank
testing and application.
Yes, what we are seeing right now with a lot of our teaching assistants, especially some that are coming in at a younger age, even those that aren't at a younger age, the cost is quite high to get through the work keys assessment and to register to become a paraprofessional. So what I would like to put into place is paying, reimbursing them once they've paid and given us proof of the work keys assessment, processing the assessment, the application certificate, and the registration certificate. So the soon-to-be teaching assistant would first have to give us proof that they have obtained the work keys and passed it, and that they've registered and have obtained their licensure from the ROE. It also states in this memo that they would need to give us 180 working days, and if they do not, they would have to pay back the $200 fee. Recently, we've had some turnarounds, so we want to be able to keep our TAs. Obviously, if they're terminated from us, it's a different story. If they terminate themselves, they would be asked to pay it back.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve this.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? This is payment coverage for TA applicant testing and application process. Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Terry,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Overpark,
Yes.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Easton,
Yes.
Dr. Ashton.
Yes, motion passes
Thank you.
7-0. Thank you. That brings us to 9DE, software, Skyward software proposal.
All right, this last one makes me very excited as well. This is to update, change altogether our applicant system for next school year. The sooner we get started, the better. The best part is, it is part of, it's called Red Rover, and it's works seamlessly with Q, which is what we're changing to as a district. Since it is just an extra piece onto Q, it's $12,000 as opposed to our frontline that we pay every year, which is around $25,000. What I want to get back to though is with this system, it will streamline the application process. It will eliminate any manual entry for new hires, so it'll take out any room for human error. It'll have everything that we have housed in one applicant system. If you apply for one job, it's there forever. It's there. If you go back to apply again, you don't have to restart another application. Whether you're a current employee or someone that's applying again that hasn't yet been selected. Basically, it will do all the posting, the application process, the onboarding, and then the release into Skyward that puts everything into their employee piece once they get hired. Dr. Geddes has challenged us with finding an easier system, a more user-friendly system, and this definitely is here. We were blessed to send 2 HR people to the Skyward training, 2 HR staff members to the Skyward training, and they're ready to roll as long as we get approval for this. So, there we go.
Okay, so the motion is, the recommendation is for Skyward software proposal, and the amount is $12,793.
Yes.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Anytime I hear the word Skyward, it reminds me of Terminator. Doesn't it?
Well, you're going to hear a lot of this. Q, Skyward Q.
All controlled. I'm waiting for.
It's cumulative. It's exciting. As much as I don't want to learn more technology, it is exciting. We're going to have everything in one spot.
Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Ryder?
Yes.
Mr. Park?
Yes.
Mr. Easton?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Gary?
Yep.
Dr. Ash?
Yes, also.
Thank
We're
you very
really
much.
excited about this one.
Thank you,
Thank you
board.
very much. Thank you very much. Going skyward. Item number 10. Request to review extracurricular committee's recommendation. What do you guys want to do on this? This is. You want to keep? Okay.
We're going?
We're going.
All right. Good evening, Dr. Geddes, Dr. Jacoby, Mr. Hart, Board of Education. My name is Mark Bases, the athletic director at Danville High School, and also the co-chair of the extracurricular committee group that has met over this last year. Wasn't quite expecting to be here tonight, but here I am to present you guys with the DEA Joint Committee proposal on extracurriculars. We came before you guys in May. We started the first step of the process. We had some things approved at that point. Step 0, lane 0 for the extracurricular pay, some new positions, some small changes in funding for those that are doing the positions. A little bit of history, I guess, before I go forward here with this. This committee was called in order maybe 2 contracts ago, maybe 4 years ago. Obviously, we all know COVID happened, put the brakes on things for 2.5 years or so. About a year ago, the DEA president reached out, started this committee, and we began to work again. It seemed easy at the time, and our union president, Ms. Hightower, asked, "Do you want to be part of the committee? Can I have you co-chair it?" Sure, seems easy enough. I've been, part of the district for 27 years at that point, involved in extracurriculars. I know the salary schedule. I've looked at it. I've had a lot of questions about it myself, and now as athletic director, I live in it. And simple task, right? And so we sit down, and it's not quite as simple, is the long and the short of it. Every time that our committee sat down, we had incredible conversations. We were honest, we were upfront, we argued at times. And those conversations led to revealing more layers that needed to be peeled off. We'd solve one problem, here's 5 more. We'd solve another problem, here's another set of them for you guys. And I think part of the issue with this committee has been that there's been a date attached to it. This stuff should be done by such and such date. As we got into it, I don't know if that's ever possible. As we keep peeling and peeling and peeling and trying to improve this for all those people that are doing a lot of work with a lot of kids and giving up a lot of their time. Of course, they're being paid for it, but these people that do the most with our kids, we want to get this right. And so I think that recently, in my opinion, has caused some issues. Like, we're close to the end of the school year. We haven't approved new positions. We haven't approved what I'm bringing to you guys today yet. And some panic has set in, and I don't think that panic needs to be there. My suggestion, my recommendation tonight, later, some point when I'm in front of you guys again, I don't know exactly how this is going to go or how this is going to get voted, but would be for this committee to continue. And for this committee with Mr. Hart, as he gave me that look, to be the head of it, but for it to continue and for these layers to continue to be peeled off. And we're also butting up against the collective bargaining agreement ending and starting a new negotiations. And in those years where that's not happening, these conversations that this committee would be pretty valuable. I think the work, not only do we need some of this stuff approved, the next step would be then to come up with a new evaluation tool for extracurriculars. The one we have currently, as I evaluate coaches, it just doesn't do it So that's another step. Once we do that, we think as the committee, there's great value in coming up with an approval process for anybody that maybe is into robotics or keep away or something that they are passionate about that just got hired into district that wants to start a club. How do I do that? And you come to the committee, and the committee has a form. All right, speak to us. The committee reviews it. DA looks at it. The administrative side looks at it, and then we bring it to the board for approval. And we build this thing slowly, and we continue to add to it. And as we add to it, we're not adding problems to it. What I believe to have happened in the past that we're discovering is somebody's wanting a new, we'll just throw it on there. We're trying to recruit new staff members to the district, and we got to make their salary a little bit more enticing. And so we throw this position on it, and then we're stuck with it. And this form, this document has not changed in a number of years. It just keeps getting added to it. And then here we are sitting down to look at it, and how did this get in there? What is this? Why does this person get that? Why does, and there are all these questions that we're trying to dive in and answer are coming up. So that's a little bit of the history. Again, today I guess I'm presenting something to you that maybe you have seen or maybe haven't seen. And the last time the committee had convened in full was October 22nd, I believe, was our last date. We believe we finalized the two parts to this proposal that I'm talking about today. The extracurricular positions that are new that we're requesting, and then the positions that are currently being used, but we as the committee looked at all the percentages, the stipends that are being paid, and we'd like to see them increased because of the scope of the work that they do or the importance of the work that they do. That was then given to the administration, to Dr. Jacoby. She passed it on to be put on the November board meeting, and Dr. Geddes then had some questions about that. And questions that we didn't think of as the committee, legitimate questions about the raises. So, and forgive me if I'm slowing down and maybe talking down to everybody. It's a complicated issue where TRS, the state, says that nobody that's working in a public school in a certified role can get more than a 6% raise in that year. Dr. Geddes had that question. If somebody gets a raise above that percentage, there's an additional cost incurred by the district. Dr. Geddes didn't want to pay that. She was looking out financially for the district's short term, for the future. She, on a number of occasions, said, I'll pay it. That's no problem, but I want you, DEA, to understand that when we incur these additional costs, as you guys sit down to do the collective bargaining agreement again, which is coming up soon, that additional cost is going to come out of that larger pot. And her concern was that the additional cost could be large, and that could be taken out of that pot and only go to a few individuals instead of the larger group. So that was the concern in November. It was taken off the board minutes or the agenda, and we had that conversation. Dr. Geddes, myself, Mrs. Rankin sat down. We called TRS. We had questions for them. Who does this hit? How does this work? We had two different views. I won't tell you whose view was a little bit more correct, but I think I won a lunch out of it. But that's it's for another day. Still haven't gotten that lunch, whoever might owe me one in this room. So we sat down, had a great conversation with TRS, got that piece figured out, and then it was turned on to our side, to the DEA side of, all right, let's find out, because of the raise that teachers got this year with the STEP and the money, with us in May increasing the extracurricular base from the 43,000 to the 47.2 to the step 0, lane 0. Dr. Yes is like, this is going to hit people. And when it hits people, we can't approve it because it's going to go over that 6%. Me, I don't think it's hitting people. It's going to hit people, back and forth. And so that was our task as the DEA side, to go get a list of everybody that's involved in the extracurriculars, see if they were close to retirement. There's another complicated piece for the 6%, but it's really if you're in your last 4 years, that's when the additional cost can occur. Typically, people are in their last 4 years or close to my age that are going to retire with full retirement. And so it's people around my age that we were targeting for this to make sure that they weren't going over this to incur this other cost. That took some time for us to identify everybody that's filling a role. It took us some time to identify who's close to that. There is protection, and we're going to talk about that a little bit too, and I apologize again if this goes long, but currently in the collective bargaining agreement, to stop this from ever happening, teachers in their last 4 or 5 years, in our case 3 years, are given 5%, 5%, and 5%. And that, once you declare that you're going to retire, that is calculated, and you're capped at that. That is your salary. You know it going forward for the next 3 years. That protects the district from any additional cost, and it's great language to have. Unfortunately, in this current contract, that language was negotiated to sunset, which means that at the end of this contract, that goes away. And it's my recommendation in the future that that never sunsets, to provide the district with that financial safety of not ever going over, and to make it 6, 6, 6, and 6 in the last 4 years. Then you have a clear picture. We're never going to hit this. What we can't stop from happening, unfortunately, is the person that's worked in the district for 10 years, gets vested in TRS, moves to Florida to go teach, teaches for another 25 years in Florida, and then retires. They still can draw a pension from the state of Illinois. And if in those years they went over the 6% while they were here, TRS sees that as you're going to incur the additional cost. Good or bad news is we're all, well, I can't speak for everybody. Most of us won't be in these same roles 25 years when that person retires, but the district is still going to get that cost passed on to them. So we can't stop those, but we can stop the larger ones with that language and that protection. And that was Dr. Geddes's concern. So that happens in November. By the time our side meets with our people, it was the semester closing day, December, right before we went on break. We had some time carved out where we were able to meet. We identified the number of individuals that we thought were gonna, they're gonna retire in the next couple of years. They're not protected because they couldn't declare that they were gonna retire because the language sunsets. These guys are gonna be close. So after break comes back, which now we're into January, I sit down with them, we calculate out their salaries. We realize that they're not going to be a problem with that. And that took a little time. So that gets us to roughly now. I mean, it's around February when that happens. And so that's a little bit of the timeline to this. So the proposal that I have, I don't know if you have it in front of you, has new positions. We're asking for Skills USA coaches at Danville High School, music drama director at Danville High School, the spring musical drama director at the high school. It's not probably worded correctly in this. The vocal jazz performance, madrigals, show choir assistants, winter guard, assistant winter guard, elementary school, Falcon Fever, Northeast, 5th and 6th grade, and at the district level, an AAC implementation position. Along with that, I don't know if you guys have these in front of you, there's a whole host of district stipends and other ones that are asked to be increased. I understand that there's more questions. Maybe I should stop here for those. Again, I don't know.
Let me add another layer. You've done a phenomenal job explaining the timeline. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And I appreciate all of the work, the hard work this committee has done. This is not an easy task, and you guys have spent a number of hours. I do appreciate that you recognize, as the fiscal agent of the district, that it is my responsibility, even when I'm not here, that these $200,000
Yes.
penalty bills don't show up, and they, So I do have to put the safeguards in place. I appreciate you acknowledging that last we met, I did say that, and we acknowledged the work that now has to be done to get that kind of language as it affects the future raises that can happen as a part of bargaining needed to then leave you and then go to the leadership of DEA as a part of bargaining. Because I was very transparent. It is the goal of this Board of Education to try to give our staff as much as we could without incurring penalties. And then that left you kind of out of it and then put it into the hat, and which is where I thought we had left it, like, okay, this has got to go to bargaining because we need that language to protect it. We don't have the language that's going to sunset. You're very right. So I appreciate you acknowledging all of that. The Board of Education does not have anything because the last thing I have is the letter that was given to me on November 3rd before you guys started to meet anything. This is the last thing I have. Do you remember this? That we sat down, we called TRS?
Yeah.
So this is the thing that you guys spent another 2 months correcting. So I don't have anything that reflects any of that to give them. So when this came, because I didn't put it on the agenda, so I'm sitting here like, okay, well, maybe there'll be something new that I'm gonna get, since there was lots of conversation after that. So they've never seen, they've never had. They are aware because it's certainly in almost every board meeting or in closed session as part of negotiation, which is one thing that you can go into closed session for, I kept people up to date with what was happening. We're still working on it, these things are happening, so I kept them aware. But November 3rd is the last thing that I had.
So we do not have the particulars in front of us. So it's gonna be very difficult for us, if not impossible, to act this evening because we don't have those things before us. But I think what the purpose of this was, and I'm not speaking for, but I'll
Go ahead.
Yeah, is I guess the board wanted to hear what is going on with this, that's what it's unbelievably beneficial because you did a great job. I agree. I mean, now I know where we're going, what we're doing, and what you're looking for, and what you're looking at, and how much you've gone into this because it's not like you just gave us something. You guys really worked on this and to go, I think we could make it work like this. But no, we do not have the numbers in front of us because we need to see that, and we need to see who gets what gets what, and mull that over so we can consider that in the future. Because obviously we can't make here. I'm speaking for me. Obviously, I can't make a decision on this in the evening, and we'll find out if they want to go ahead with this or not. But
I'll agree with you, Doc, because while Mr. Bases was talking, I'm looking through the thing going, did I miss something? I went through my board packet. What did I miss? And I know that there were some questions about some of the coaching things and I talked to you about this space, the equal of this coach, and I'll just put it out there, cheerleading coach and pump head coach only being paid for part of a season when these people are there all year and into the summer when they have to do their camps. And I wanted to make sure that was addressed when you started looking at this because these people work hard, they're required to go to competition, they do everything that a football coach or a basketball coach does, but they weren't being paid. And so I was really looking for it because I'm like, okay, that never came back and what? So I agree with Doc. We need something to see before we can vote on something. But thank you, Chris and Ms. Halloran, for bringing it back up. But I didn't know where it was.
Yeah, to some of those, to that point, we as the committee, one of the things we worked on and we realized was pretty monumental. We wanted to come up with a rubric that you could just plug in the position and bam, a magic number, a percentage comes out that's fair for everybody. That didn't work.
I was gonna say, are you kidding me?
It just didn't work. But we tried, and that again took some time. And we value all these positions. We value all the people that do this work. As we all know, it's important work.
What they do? Have we looked at other districts, what they do?
Yeah,
with their
so that was part of
extracurricular?
it too. Just about every district in the state has a very similar salary schedule. The percentages, they'll change here and there, but they're all very similar. But what we wanted to do, we wanted to make sure we were competitive, and maybe even a little bit more than competitive with stuff in the area and schools in the Big 12. And so we've pulled all those. We've looked at them. Everybody does it just a little bit differently, but they're all in that kind of same range. I would put a range to it. It'd be probably safer to do it that way than they're all the exact same. But they're all very, very similar and structured very, very almost the same, and which led me to realize the rubric wouldn't work because somebody long ago attached these numbers that made a lot more sense than trying to plug them into a rubric and make them work. I think that's what we were trying to do, is make the numbers work into this rubric. It was complex.
Yeah, there's so many variables. There's so many variables involved in this
I did have a couple of questions. You named off a bunch of different new potential positions. Can you give me kind of the breakdown about like the number of academic ones, the number with athletics, and then I think I heard music or drama. Can you, how many of each of those?
Yeah, sure. So.
And I guess I asked because the question was, it had to do with coaches sponsors / coaches. So I was just wondering what was what.
Yep, let me give them to you. So athletically, 0 at the high school, 0 at the elementary, 0 district level. Academically, Skills USA.
That's
Academic. Okay, so academic is 1 high school wide. AAC, Molly, where are you?
She had to leave.
It's special ed, it's academic,
It's academic.
written technology.
Okay, so 2 academic, 1 at the high school, 1 district level, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 music district wide, or high school and elementary. Out of, so we have 8 total, 6 of them. 6,
Okay.
2,
Um,
0.
Thank you.
Yep.
Wow. So one of the things that I would, because not knowing what was on there, I kind of looked at my handy dandy notebook here and was looking at the difference, and because this is all like online if anyone wants
Correct.
to know about it.
Correct.
It's on page the 87 and on back was the extracurricular salary differentials, and it was like you said, Ms. Carey, there are some that are 12%, some that are 10, some that are 2. I don't know if it's 2, but 9. What are the ranges that are being asked for in those? I mean, maybe that's going to change, but that's all like something we should know.
Okay, it ranges in,
The percentages that where they would fall into this little grid here, whether it was 8% or 12%.
of the, okay, so the new positions that we're asking, or the ones that are currently in use that are going to change?
I guess I'm more concerned with the brand new ones that
Okay.
we haven't voted on.
Brand new ones range from 5% at the lowest to 10% at the highest.
So the academic one for Skills USA is 5%? All
Correct.
of the music are 9 and 10%? The other, I'm sorry, there's one to start a new show choir at Northeast at 5%, and then the special ed was 8.
So I guess when you go back to your committee, assuming that's what, way that this heads after the vote are, what I would like to see is some sort of, like how many hours are actually put into the work that these folks are doing. Because also there's people on here, the department heads are on here. There's, everybody is on here that does anything extra. Except for maybe open gym or, internal subbing. That's, if you've committed to something extra, it's on here. It should be, right?
Correct.
So.
Can I dive into that just
Yes, please.
just a little bit?
Because I'm not even sure how to ask this question, but I want to make sure it's fair to the teachers that are putting in money and that it's reflective of our district vision and that it's appropriately bargained with the DEA. I mean, it needs to be a whole big picture.
Yep. Okay, so I've had this conversation with a lot of people. Some of you might have been in the room that I've had it with. We get that asked a lot of the times, the difference between, a coach or a sponsor and somebody doing an academic type position. So we have a new program here in the district, the teacher mentors. And I think it's the most valuable position that we have in this extracurricular salary schedule. The work that these people are doing in a time where there's shortages of staff, shortages of teachers throughout the state, these people are on the front lines trying to retain our new hires. They're currently paid as the new proposed, the position was created at 6%. In this recommendation, we would like them to go to 8%. Their work, the body of work that they do, they work the entire year, is about 72 hours, maybe on the high, somewhere in that range, 72-ish hours. The question then comes up is the assistant basketball coach gets 12%. How, and they work from November through March. And how do you make sense of that, where this person working all year is 8%, basketball coach 12%? Well, in those months that they work, on the low end, and I'm going low end here for the point, of course, but around 240 hours. That's if they practiced alone 6 days a week for 2 hours. So 12 hours every week. That's before game. If you throw games in there and travel and all of this, the number increases drastically. So 72 hours for 8%, 240 hours plus for 12%. We really value, by 4 times, we value these academic positions as we should, compared to the, and I always use the assistant basketball coach because it's the highest paid assistant that we have. Other assistants get a little bit less. And it shows, so I guess maybe I'm helping you guys if you have the conversation that, look, these academic positions are really valued. If you wanted to pay the coach like you were paying the new teacher mentor, it'd have to be at 42%. Or if you wanted to pay the mentor like you were paying the coach, the mentor would be at 2% if you wanted to make them equal. And to that rubric point, it's just too many you can't. And so there is varying levels of time and commitment and salary attached to all these positions that we're finding out as we dive more in.
And Mr. Basis, I appreciate your approach. You've given me that analogy before. And I shared with you the task that I was given on behalf of the Board of Education was to make sure that this extracurricular program reflected that their goal was to support teaching and learning also. And that many of those who do instructional things did not feel valued when compared to sports. Thank you for the time that you just gave.
If you want to give them 10, we'll change this 8 to 10.
No. This is unfortunately, because this was brought here, it makes us bargain out in public. But the intention of the board was to actually strengthen what was happening here for our, even beyond what you guys.
And rightfully so.
And to our conversation, since you used an example, I'm gonna use one. Certainly, we feel that like someone like Danielle Montgomery, who has kept this district afloat with nurses this entire school year. She spends countless hours managing and figuring out when we're short, who needs a tray, can she get there? And if you could see the emails that she sends, she spends, there probably isn't a person in the entire program that can beat the hours. And yet, even in your new proposal, she was given a 0.5% raise. So she will go from 5% to 5.5%. And to us, it just was not enough.
Okay, so we need to work on this more.
I
think we all agree. We
can
need to
I,
work on this more.
Dr. Ashton, can I make a comment? Is it appropriate?
Please, go ahead.
Mr. Bases, thank you for coming tonight. I just wanted publicly to express how I feel, particularly, maybe not related to this issue, But Mrs. Holleran called me and asked if I would join her in asking this to be brought up. Was told that in November your committee had finalized a report, which is what you said. You had 2 parts finalized. That's true. And asked for it to be put on the agenda. And it's always a symptom of something else happening when board members have to invoke board policy to put something on the agenda, I think. Clearly, this is something that a board member thought was important, Mrs. Holleran, and wasn't given an answer to. So I'm a board member, at least for a few more weeks. We'll see how it goes. That's supposed to be a joke, but I guess not.
I laughed for you.
Okay.
I got it.
So I try to make sure when I say things that I never have to go back to somebody and apologize later for saying it in the wrong way. So I'm just going to tell you how I felt this week as a result of being on this board. And if it upsets you, I'm sorry in advance. But I felt like this report existed. It was finalized on your last your meeting, October 22nd. You had 2 parts finalized. And 2 board members asked for it to be brought up 11 days ago. The board policies 10 days ago. And that report was not given to us in our board packet. 1,173 other pages were. Last board meeting on 3/10, I had 624 pages to read. So since the 10th, we've had over 1,700 pages to read on the board. Now you could argue some of those were policy and discipline, and some of them were repeats. But I felt like when that happened, I felt like, is it like, in my mind, this is what I said to myself, do I as a board member have to file a Freedom of Information Act request to get a committee report on the district where I sit as a board member? That's what I felt. And then I thought, well, there has to be something else going on. And you've mentioned it. It's TRS. It's transparency. It's bargaining. But then I still, Dr. Geddes is great at what she does. I think she does a great job. But it is, that was just alarming to me that I didn't get the report that I know exists to look at. 11 days ago, we asked for it. Mrs. Holleran initiated it. I had no idea it even existed till 11 days ago. And I just don't think that's a good way for a Board of Education to operate, that we even have to have someone. We have a policy for a reason to put it on the agenda. I guess it has to be there. Sure, there's history. I just wanted to say that, and I really think you did great. It would be nice to know how many man hours and woman hours you put into it. I would have loved to have seen it, and I would have loved to have just been told why it wasn't brought up in November, but I wasn't told. Not about this report. I was not told.
So I'm going to address that. First of all, no one ever asked me. Mrs. Holleran never asked me for it. The first time I even knew you wanted it was when you evoked your right to put it on the board.
Yeah.
And I said,
11 days ago.
would have been nice if somebody had picked up the phone and said, hey, does this exist? But neither of you did that. Neither of you.
11 days ago, I sent a very nice email
Neither
to
of
you
you
that I
simply
could
asked,
read, Mr. Ashton,
you know
if
what?
you'd like me to read
I gave you an
it.
opportunity to speak. This is mine.
Okay.
Neither of you asked me, did it exist? And I would have told you. The information he gave me on November 3rd, I sent back to them to be corrected and have yet to receive anything corrected. In closed session, I reviewed what was given to us, what was happening with the committee meetings. I told you in closed session. Did I not, Ms. Cherry?
We did hear about the first round of this, and that the 6% was the problem. And but we have not heard anything from you since. So that's why I thought that it was still being worked out. But I understand what you're saying, Chris, but we did get that. And like I said, even if we'd have gotten some type of update from your committee to say, this is where we are, this is what we're working on. We've been through TRS. I think that would have helped us because
Right.
what the other questions like that I have and that Shannon brought up about some of these things and the ones that the new things that are being proposed, like a show choir for Northeast. Well, what happens to the other elementary schools? I'd have questions about all of that. Are our kids from other elementary schools, if we approve this, able to go over to Northeast and be a part of that? Because I don't want to cut out any children.
Right.
And so I think that, to me, for both the administration and the union, it would just be nice to update the board on where you are. Because to me, there is no conclusion here.
Mhm.
From what you've told us tonight, whatever you had decided in November was thrown out the window. Because you got to look at that 6%. And you have to look at every year. If I'm the basketball coach and I'm 10 years out, then yeah, my percentage could be a little more. But if I'm the assistant drama coach and I'm coming close to my end, that's where that 5%'s got to come in. And so there is a lot. And maybe what we need all together, but I won't be here, as a study session to talk about it, because it's information that we all need to understand before we can sit here and vote on anything.
Well, as I understand it, there isn't a report. I mean, there's a mishmash, there's paper that's going back and forth. That would be like saying, show us the contract when it was still in negotiations. There's no contract when it's going back and forth. That's not going to come out into, as I understand. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bases. There's no final report for anyone to have shared with us.
Well, the committee's goal was to bring it to you guys in pieces, and there was never going to be a final. Well, and again, I guess that goes back to that. Is there an end date where there was that I spoke about earlier? And my thought is that we were going to come to you guys with as piece this thing as we go, and so this would be the second piece of this, and not a final document that is the end all be all thing of it. This was just the next step as I saw it on the committee.
Well, in the future, I'm going to still say there was a report that you submitted back on October 22nd. I asked for it using board policy and wasn't given it. So I'm still just a little bit, that still bothers me a little bit, even if it's not finalized.
It doesn't exist. It is a letter dated November 3rd.
Yeah, but I didn't get anything.
I don't see the
Okay.
problem
There was
is
nothing.
when you decide to put something on the board agenda, you usually back it up with whatever it is you're putting on the board agenda. That is, when you do that, then you get the document. Not me.
I didn't know I had to FOIA the
But
OM
nobody
district
nobody
on our,
asked
on a,
me.
as a board
I
member.
could have helped you and saved this whole embarrassment had
Oh,
someone.
I'm not
picked up the phone
embarrassed.
and
Well,
it is
I'm not
because
embarrassed.
it's embarrassing to sit here.
This is an open
and be
meeting.
this
It's okay to
unorganized
talk
in front
about
of,
things.
in front of the people
And
who
conflict,
expect more of
conflict
us.
is a normal part of every relationship
And
too.
so is
Clearly, this points to something, which is exactly why I brought this to the board. We needed to hear your report, and you did an excellent job. And we put you on the spot because you didn't have long to prepare it. Clearly, also, there is information that could have been shared. If we, as a governing board, were unaware of this, there are a lot of people involved in the process that have been unaware of it. They don't know. We have staff. They don't know. They don't know what's happening. We have people who wanted to start an elementary show choir, not just for Northeast, but for Southwest as well. And never were communicated with about where this whole process was. So our staff didn't know. We didn't know. The whole thing shows that we needed to have this conversation. And I particularly don't care about a vote tonight. We're not prepared to vote. But we certainly did need to have the conversation. It needed to start. And I thank you for the work that you did.
Just as a
I learned
point
a lot.
of order, though, there is a Southview. The Green Machine has it's a 5% stipend. It's on page 90.
No,
So-
she said Southwest, didn't she?
I meant fifth and sixth grade
Okay,
throughout
I thought I
the
heard you
district.
say Southview.
I
Okay.
maybe did. I meant fifth and sixth
All
grade
right.
throughout the whole district. But what I'm saying is that was proposed. People were interested in doing it, and no one communicated with them about where it stood for the whole year. So fifth and sixth graders this year did not have the opportunity to participate in it. So we needed to have a conversation, and we needed to resolve, where we are with it.
I think there's just one more thing. Thank you for your patience. I think as a board, we've been through board training with this. And the way it's been explained to us was like, our job is to be in the balcony, and the administration and the teachers and the staff job is to be on the dance floor. And our job is not to be on the dance floor. Our job is to be in the balcony. Helping set policy, helping guide, noticing if we think or see that there are problems. So there are ways to do that in order, but our job is not to hop into the middle of things, and our job is to trust the people. I think that if we say that a committee has been set up in order to work this process, our job is to trust them to do it. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't have benchmarks and stopgaps and let's talk about it as it's going through. But I think there's a point at which we need to remain very cognizant of what the board's responsibilities are and what they are not. And the other thing is, I personally think we are extremely close to the time for negotiations to be on our next contract. I think it's, April 1st that normally that kicks off. So here we are, 2 weeks, half a month, and spring break is in the middle. And to think that we are going to, kind of like push Coach Basie's into trying to present something that really deserves to be bargained, I think is unfair. And I guess the third thing is,
I think it's the position of the committee not to have it bargained, though, if you ask.
It came out of bargaining.
But it was done in between bargaining periods. It's just taken so long.
Well, we are where we are, though. We're up against the bargaining.
It's not supposed to be a part of bargaining to pay people to do extracurricular activities.
But how we handle that 6% and our potentially retired people and the over $200,000 penalty if we make a mistake is definitely part of bargaining, and it certainly should be $200,000 for each mistake, or more than that. Dr. Geddes,
Well,
we can't make those kind of mistakes, and it is unfair to put it on Coach Basie's and his committee to do that entire thing when we are right up against the bargaining, and Alan's sitting there going, yeah, we're right up against it.
I believe it's about $7 per dollar over.
For only
TRS.
the portion of this, but it also includes, because credible earnings is every time they internal sub, every time they do any type of professional development. So we have to calculate it all. But what I do want to say, because I feel it is a character assassination when you sit and suggest that the superintendent did not tell you. It is important to attend the meeting so that you can get the information, but I certainly, and the board records and the minutes will reflect that I told you what was going on, and I update it regularly. You got to be there to hear it.
Okay.
Dr. Ashton, if you had been asked directly to put this on, would you have?
Okay, we've enough. Okay,
No.
you guys want to beat yourselves up some more here. I've given everybody ample discussion here to go back and forth with it, and you have a point. I do want to just say, I'll take blame for this, okay? I don't know why, but I will take the blame for this because someone wants to take some blame. This thing was handled probably incorrectly, and that's why we're where we're at, because we have an agenda item that didn't have support with it, and if you have an agenda item and you want to put it on the agenda, you need to have the support with it so that we can properly address the agenda item. It isn't, if someone would call me, and when someone says they have to file a FOIA to get information from us, that's kind of offensive also. Because all you need to do is call us. If you're a board member, all you need to do is call the superintendent, and if you don't get satisfaction, you can call me. But you call the superintendent first, or call me. And we will see if we can get the information to you. That should not be a problem. So in the future, I hope that it could be handled that way. Again, if according to the rules, we put the agenda item on, okay, it appears as if we weren't ready to have this agenda item on the agenda because this is how we are resolving this. It's informational item tonight. It's nice, yes. Thank you for this. We do appreciate that. but it appears as if it was probably out of sequence that this even happened. So as we go for the future, we will repair whatever we have to repair here, but I suggest that we move on, unless you have something else that you would like to present for us. Okay?
That's all I got.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, obviously, we need more work on this. We'll be more than glad to help out and do whatever that we have to do, whatever meetings have to be done and conducted, and to get to the next step. Like you said, I agree with you. The pieces that have to be done, yeah, let's get this, and whatever we can get presented and get taken care of, let's bring that back in the future and get this done.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the more that can happen, the less that there's a burden on the overall negotiations.
Yeah.
Of that. But.
Yeah, if whatever we can get cleared up, let's go ahead and do so. Okay?
All right. Thank you all.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Basie.
Yep.
No.
Pardon me?
Was a action item?
It is, but I
Yeah, no, you don't have to vote, but if they make a motion, you have to make, but you don't have to. Someone want to make a motion?
A motion to do what? To vote or not, to just have it be informational?
Well,
Well, it
it's
could
here
die
as
for
an
lack of
action
a motion.
item, which someone would have to make a
could die for
motion to
lack
make it an
of a
action
motion.
item. My opinion is that you don't have enough information to actually
And I stated that earlier.
have an action, to vote on it. So if you don't have the motion, we just move on. Does anyone want to make a motion? Then for lack of a motion, we move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Keisha.
That's implicit in the. Okay, item number 11, registration fees, recommendation.
Good evening, Board. I'm Dr. Jacoby, Assistant Superintendent for Secondary, and also Registration Extraordinaire, all things registration. You'll be hearing from me again later on tonight, but I wanted to bring to the Board's attention the fact that the Board has graciously waived registration fees for the last 3 years to help our families during the pandemic times. At this time, while we believe that we are coming back from the pandemic strong, we are recommending that the Board continue to waive the registration fees for the 23-24 school year. I won't be here.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to waive registration fees. Questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12, technology, summer refresh.
Summer
Sounds refreshing.
Refresh. Summer refresh.
Sounds like it's gonna cost me money.
I usually do. Good evening, Board. Dr. Geddes. Annette Hummel, Director of Technology. Yes, it is that time of year to start thinking of replacing our equipment that has expired. We have our laptops, our 4-year replacement on laptops and Chromebooks, as well as a 5-year on desktops. And so with that, we are looking at replacing 155 desktops, 175 laptops, and 800 Chromebooks. So we have gotten our quote from IT Savvy with deployment services for that would include the hardware cost, lease, and warranty for a total of $649,558.78. With Title I, $592,599.37 will come out of Title I, which will leave $56,959.41 out of the local budget.
And that is your recommendation?
That is my recommendation.
May I have a motion to accept her recommendation?
So move.
Second.
Okay.
Has this been budgeted?
Yes.
You beat me
As
to it.
always.
Ms. Allen. That was so
As
my
always.
Yes, it is. Okay, you have before you a motion for a total of $649,558.78 for summer refresh. And in the recommendation, it tells you, as she just said, which are Title I funds. If there are no other questions, roll call vote, please.
I have a question for you.
Thank you.
What's the difference in you said the Chromebook
Yes,
and the little ones that
the Lenovo tablets.
yeah.
So, really, the Lenovo tablets are a Chromebook.
Okay.
They're just a handheld version.
Are they are they included in this?
We have plenty of spares because of first grade that went from the tablets to the Chromebooks.
Oh, good.
So we have plenty.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Elder Park,
Yes.
Mr. Holland,
Yes.
Mr. Terry,
Yes.
Mr. Easton,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Ashton.
Yes, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. How about some calendar amending?
Good, well, just the first reading. I'm John Hurt, Assistant
Well,
Superintendent
okay.
for.
Why don't you read it for us then?
Well, I really, I'm not asking for money, a vote, anything. I thought I'd be appreciated just a little bit more for this, Doc Ashton.
Thank you. Slow down.
Now when you
Slow
come
down.
back, now when you come back 10 times.
I'm not gonna take the blame nor the credit for that. Actually, I think I'm gonna pass it on to somebody who received everyone else's calendar because our calendar was the first one out. We were pushed quickly by some of our staff so their spouses could schedule vacations, blah, 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 blah. And then other surrounding communities put out their calendar, and we needed to make a few adjustments to ours to align with the calendars in the county. It's been a problem in the past. It's usually very few days, and actually, this pretty much aligns with the DAC calendar, and pretty much aligns with the county calendar, except for January 2nd, which will return to school in 2024, so next year. And some schools are returning on the 2nd, and some schools are returning on the 3rd. So that's really the only difference between the community college and the county schools and Danville. So I'll be back next meeting, and I will be asking for your approval, and still again, no money. Thank you.
You will get none, and we will count the days. One. Item 14, buildings and grounds.
Actually, Mr. Rice is actually gonna do this one,
Oh.
even though it's buildings and grounds.
I'm just here for backup. Yeah. Good evening again. Chris Rice, coordinator for Birth to 5 programs. I do dabble in some grant writing. So this is just an informational item. Danville District 118 has been awarded the School Maintenance Project Grant by Illinois State Board of Education. The funds awarded for this grant will be utilized to replace the bleachers at Northridge from cheering on the 8th grade girls. The grant is a matching grant, which specifies that the district will match $45,750 awarded from the state to cover our total project cost of $91,500.
Move to approve.
Yeah.
You are
Informational. Thank you, and we accept that good news because that's awesome.
I retract. I retract.
I'm ready.
Mr. Truex.
Yes, Skip you did great, Skip. Item 15. Oh, summer.
Yes. More summer stuff.
You have good stuff.
I do.
Yeah.
Good evening, Dr. Geddes, Mr. Hart, and Dr. Jacoby, and the Board of Education. My name is Sharday Pascal. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist for District 118. And this is just an informational item. I just wanted to give some information about the great things happening in the Educational Support Office. One of the great things is the summer opportunity. And I presented to you guys, I think it was last year, about this, and it's happening again this year. year. And this is an engineering camp. So I have gone to the high school for an entire week. I sat in the lunchroom and I met a lot of students. But with this, I did notice that this is very, it's geared towards their interest. The U of I does have another one that's going to be later on in April that I'll be talking to the students. We mailed each of these to the incoming 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. It's a really cool opportunity. They have some virtual camps and they have residential camps. And what it is they basically are chosen by the University of Illinois to learn about what they're interested in. Some of their interests are like exploring your options. And in this booklet, it explains what that is, whatever it takes. There's things like civil and environmental engineering, aerospace, a lot of cool things for our students who are interested in going to the U of I or interested in engineering. And as I was collecting these over the past week, we have 6 applicants that we are going to send over to the University of Illinois. One of them stuck out to me, and I just wanted to tell you. And this is Fabian Sanchez, and I invited his family to come
And they
because
stayed the whole time.
Oh.
We love
Yes.
y'all.
Yeah, there you go.
So, and I'm so grateful that they came and they stayed, but I was just so moved by the letter. Now, usually when you get this packet, you'll see in the end, the kids fill out information and they'll fill out an essay. So Fabian did fill out his essay and he did everything perfectly. But then his parents sent a letter. And I've never gotten that after looking at all of them for a couple years that I've been doing this. I've never gotten a letter from a family. And it just shows the great things that our district is doing and the great things that we're providing for our students and how something like engineering camp can change lives. So I will read just a portion of her letter because I thought it was so important. And I called and I got to know this family. Didn't even realize that they've been in the district for a long time. I knew their son, Jose. He went to Kennedy Bailey when I was there. And then Fabian also has a really great story as well. He is from a private school, and they looked all over for schools, and they chose Liberty as his elementary school because they fell in love with the principal. They fell in love with the environment, and I just thought that is something that we need to know and that you guys should know that, as much as slack that, you may get for different things, but there are
No.
good people looking for opportunities, and I wanted to read this note. And then I'm done, okay? So as the parents of Fabian, we believe this would be an amazing opportunity for Fabian. Fabian has talked about the medical field since he was about in the 2nd or 3rd grade. Fabian is a success story when it comes to life. He survived a medication error as a fetus/newborn. We truly believe this would benefit him in so many positive ways. Fabian is an amazing young man with so much to offer, and it was signed by Mr. and Mrs. Sanchez Jr., and I thought that was so touching just because to have their parents back our students and see the importance of education and what the programs that we are providing for our students means so much. So thank you guys so much for coming and sticking through all of it. Yeah, so thank you, and that's okay, and that's all I had to present. If you guys had any questions, if not,
Does the parent letter go with his application?
I'm gonna send it in for
Okay,
sure.
good.
I'm gonna send it into the U of I.
After he attends, can he come back and do a presentation to us? Love to hear how it goes. Okay.
Yeah, so what that process
At the beginning
is
of
basically they send it to me,
beginning.
I send it to the U of I, and the U of I selects. So I'm hoping that parent letter will boost you a little bit, because we would love for you to come back and talk about your experience as well, so.
Great job.
We're very proud of you.
I know,
Yes.
I know.
Oh, we think he's a shoo-in. Are you kidding me? With that kind of support, that's absolutely awesome.
Yes.
I'm sorry that you had to sit here all this time. We would have moved things up.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that's good. Awesome.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, thank you.
Nothing better to do on a Wednesday
Thank
night
you,
than
Ms. Pascal.
come here anyway. So that's very good. Thank you. Very good. Centralized registration dates.
All things registration.
Yes.
Okay, centralized registration dates for the 2023-2024 school year. Don't hold your breath. Ready? Here we go. It is going to be July 17th from 12 noon to 7 p.m., July 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and July 20th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Yes, it will be at the DHS Fieldhouse. Every school has a tent now that will be fabulously put up with all of their extravaganza pieces put into place as they normally do. We will have supports for parents in registration there. I highly encourage and recommend, and again, those dates are July 17th, July 19th, July 20th. We will be posting this information all over Facebook, all over our websites. Why is it late this year? Later, I should say. We've always had centralized registration in June. We are flipping our Student Information Center. Perhaps you heard Ms. Pabst up here just raising the roof about Skyward and cumulative and where they're going. Our new system is called, it is Skyward, but it's cumulative. We will be rolling that in June. And we were advised, please do not register your children in an old system and then think you're gonna roll it into a new one. Start out with the new. So as soon as we have they call it Q operational, we are gonna open the window to do online right away. We still are doing online. But centralized registration, which is that personalized go, we can have the health department there, we can take care of your physicals, we can take care of your immunizations, we got school supplies, we got community entities that are there to talk to you, that hands-on, one-on-one, face-to-face, and the field house will have air conditioning this year. Thank you.
That's
What's your
awesome.
promise?
I can't wait till July 17th, 19th, and 20th, right? Did I get it right?
Yes, sir.
And I think I'll register 3 times, just because it sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It is, it's a party.
Board and superintendent comments.
I'll make it brief. The Northridge Show Choirs competed Wasika on Saturday. We had soloists in the solo room and took home the following awards. First runner-up, Malaya Robertson, and grand champion Eva Harper. The Radiant Reds were third with their runner-up for outstanding performer, Jessenia Shaw. I apologize if I messed her up. The Redcoats were first runner-up with their outstanding performer, Danielle Mott. Congratulations to Northridge. Congratulations to the DHS student Matthew Thomas, as he broke his own school record in the 60-meter hurdles at the Rantoul Invite. Way to go, Matthew. And congratulations to our elementary schools as they participated in our first Scholastic Bowl season since the pandemic. Great job, guys. And just kudos again to Danville High School for an outstanding Black History celebration. It was amazing. If you haven't seen it, please check out our website and click on the link to watch on YouTube, or just look at the still frame pictures on the main part of the website. So proud of the students and how just the performance that they did. Great job. Great job, Mr. Hoskins and Miss the teacher who was with them. Name escapes me.
Okay. Anything else? Left to right.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Hoskin. I just want to say to Mary Ellen and Sister Molly, you have done some outstanding work, and I applaud you for the work that you've done, in particular, educating us more about AVID. So I thank you for what you've done. And also, I applaud Northridge for their second place finish. Those young ladies did an outstanding job and represented the district well. So that lets us know, when we look at the number of expulsions that we have to deal with these young girls now, and then look at these young girls and what they've been able to do, that gives us hope. And so I say to them, may the Lord bless you. And as they continue to move forward, and we look for them to finish in high school in first place. We want them to be state champions in high school. So we're going to continue to encourage them. And so again, thank you for this opportunity.
I was going to make my same comments about the Northridge girls' 8th grade, and I just said ditto.
I will also say ditto ditto. We have so many good things going on in the district, and we have so many great people in administration and the teachers and the students. Everyone is committed to making Danville and our schools a great place. I feel the need to say that sometimes leadership gets a little messy, and I think we all witnessed a little messy tonight. But out of messy often comes some really good things, and we shouldn't be afraid of the messy, because I think communication is important, and however we get there, however we get to the end game is important. And I think as a board, we respect one another enough to have those kinds of conversations, and that at the end of the day, we come out of it maybe making our district a better place.
I'm sorry, Dr. Aston. I don't know if it's proper or is it right to say I appreciate your vote.
You don't think you can say that? I appreciate your vote.
I don't know if we can campaign on school property, so that's what I go on. So, you got it in.
What can you say?
Jenna.
I wanted to kind of shout out to Miss Pascal, Miss Charday Pascal. She is a delight, and she is doing such good work in our district. Everything to every person she interacts with, she just knows their story. She cares. She's an edifier. She's got a growth mindset, and I'm just so proud of her. And we're so blessed that she came back to Danville and back to our district. Also, Mr. Wright, you were a real utility player, and thank you for being willing to go where things need to go and do what you need to do. And you're always, whenever you're asked, you say yes, and we just appreciate you, and we see it. I see it. And then lastly, the thing that Mr. O'Connell was saying, the athletic director and the coach of the Northridge girls, he really knew his girls. He really knew his teammate, his players, his coaches, the bus driver. That team and unity he created was something special. And I'm sure that the girls would say that about him if they had the chance to get the microphone. And he also said, he also just really reflected about their maturity, and we could see that straight here in the front row. And so just shout out to them, that team, for representing our district in such a mature, respectful way. And we're proud not just of you as athletes, but we're proud of you as people.
Yes.
I just want to say, I know we miss and we talk about all of the different activities. This year's cheerleaders, this year's pompettes, we never really talked about them going to competition. I just want to say thank you to those coaches, because they do put in a lot of work and a lot of hours. And regardless to have a commitment, and for a lot of these students to be involved in a lot of different things, the commitment to compete, to represent this district, I think it's just phenomenal. And that we are represented and people see. I went to one of the competitions in Champaign, and to see how our kids reacted and supported other teams that they were competing against, I thought was phenomenal. They went back up in the stands, and when they're cheering on other schools. And at the same time that night, Tracy and I were together. Another principal came up and said, that section wasn't open. Your coaches and kids went up there, and we really appreciate it. We didn't think about that. And so I think there's a lot of things that our kids are doing. There are great things, and I know we all hear about the negatives, but there are great things with great kids happening in this district. Our future problem solvers, there's just so many. And I did want to give kudos to the art teacher that did the art presentation at the art.
The Art League, yeah.
Yes, it was excellent. I was very impressed walking through there, looking at some of those pictures, even of the elementary school kids, and how in depth some of those drawings and paintings were. I give kudos to those art people that put it on. Thank you, and hopefully, in years to come, it can be expanded to a larger arena so that we really can see. I have to tell you a funny story. There was a picture that one of the little elementary kids did, and it kind of like was a stick figure, but he had a little more depth to him. And so there were three little older ladies in the room, and I'm looking at this picture, and the lady says, "Well, is there something wrong?" I said, "No, but this picture looks like he's saying, y'all eating up all the dessert and not leaving it." And she goes, "It really is, isn't it?" But it was just the conversations that you could have with people there, and it was just great. I really appreciate it. I wanted them to know that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank Gateway for helping us after a pretty traumatic event that happened 3 Saturdays ago, I think now, at the high school field house. I was told that they responded in a meaningful way to help our students and our staff who went through some pretty traumatic things there, and I just wanted to thank them that they were able to respond so quickly and nimbly to meet our needs, our students' needs. It's the third time I've brought it up. I'll bring it up again. I'll just keep bringing it up until we talk about it officially in an open meeting. Early in December, I met with Chief Yates, and I think I've already told the board this. He's amicable to the idea of adding a school resource officer so we can have a full-time school resource officer at KDBA. And I really think it's necessary for security and safety. And he told me at that meeting, and I called Dr. Geddes and Dr. Ashton, and they were both very positive about it, that it would take a year from the moment this board votes to get a full-time school resource officer. We have a part-time one there. And I know you guys do great work. You're here tonight. You're here all the time, and you are a deterrent to a lot of very bad things. I know you know that because you can't even tell us how much you know about that. And we just really appreciate you. And I think that it should be a board agenda item very soon that we get that voted on, and Chief Yates can start to move forward with everything that needs to happen. And I hope it happens on this board very soon. And that's all for me.
Thank you all for your comments. Yes, to the coaches, I've heard also those great things about our student athletes from other people around from other schools. So it's really nice to see that. I agree, Mrs. Carey, and everybody else on the board who has said those things. Since that's the SROs are the last thing I heard, yeah, we have discussed that. So. There'll be plans in the future for that, so to be continued. With that, we are going to go into closed session for a while. I will adjourn this part of the meeting and the open session of the meeting, and hope you all have a wonderful break. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and I can't say who to vote for.